Hey, what's up, everybody? The Villain Club here. It's your Black Friday exclusive. Oh yeah. Well, actually, every day is an exclusive, but here it is, the Villain Club, sharing to you opinions of what I see out there, and I know a lot of you guys agree with me, but I invite people to agree to disagree with me as well. So welcome to the Villain Club, and make sure you hit the subscribe and bell icon that we can stay on top of daily content. And without further ado, let's get to it. All right. There's a couple things I want to talk about, but there's one in particular I wanted to get back to. And it's kind of related towards this border czar and the plans of deportation, right? It's kind of just going back to this because, there's like these blue cities out there that are giving resistance, right? And, whether it's let's see, the biggest vocal one was the Denver mayor, right? Boston mayor as well, the Chicago mayor, some of these governors, like Illinois governor. Let's see, has New York Governor Kathy Hochul been vocal? She hasn't really said much. She's been kind of quiet. But the Illinois governor, obviously this numbnut right there, Gavin Newsom of California, has been vocal about trying to Trump-proof California and not allowing deportation, but not. He's been vocal, but not like what's his name, Johnson out of Denver vocal. All right, so let me see here if I can find the clip here, and then you know what I'm talking about. All right, so here it is, right here, right. So several cities not assisting in the deportation plans. Um, Obviously, Brandon Johnson. This is Mike Johnson. That's his name, Mike Johnson. So let's hear what some of these people have to say here. Let me see if this is one of them, because I know he's been very vocal about it. Yeah, there he is, right there. That idiot. He's soft. This guy's soft. All right, weak and soft. And all these blue cities that are trying to
Also,
do
right now,
this
several cities across America are promising to push
are
back and defy.
they're just soft, and when push comes to shove, they will step aside and back down because they're just a bunch of bitches, right? Trying to martyr themselves, trying to act like they're the heroes and everything. And then when it comes down to it, they don't want to be put in jail, right? So, that's what happens here.
President-elect Trump's plans for mass deportations. It's one of his biggest campaign promises. Well, Denver's Democratic Mayor Mike Johnston predicting a Tiananmen Square type situation with residents rising up against the federal government.
See, and then he'll say outlandish statements like that, right? Trying to act like he's speaking for the people, and you're like, you're speaking for the illegals? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's right. You're the face of illegals and all that, right? You're trying to act like you're the hero, but you're a hero to nobody. You're a fucking zero.
That movement was a series of large political protests in China back in 1989. So what does this mean for the president-elect's plans at the local level? News Nation's Xavier Walton joins me now.
Let me see if I could find anything on specifically what he said here. Here's Pritzker, and this guy is a numbnut too.
Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, a Democrat, saying earlier this week he is deeply concerned and questioned whether the president of the United States even has the authority.
There are two different provisions of the act that authorizes the use of the National Guard, Title 10, Title 32, and he doesn't have, under either one of those, the ability to call the National Guard out again in the
call the bluff. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to call the bluff, and once we steamroll through, we'll see if this fat idiot resists.
United States of America.
Okay, so there's a question over who has the authority. President-elect Trump has vowed to start deportation efforts on day one. We've heard this.
It just makes sense. There's no downside.
Resistance. Here's why.
It just makes sense. There's no downside in a secure border. I have arguments a lot up on Capitol Hill. Give me one downside in a secure border. What's the downside in less illegal immigration? What's the downside in less fentanyl that kills?
What is the downside of all that, right? Where we don't have to give them any more handouts. What's the downside of the drugs? The downside of trafficking? What's the downside downside of just blocking all that and deporting everybody else that don't belong here, that's taking up our resources, that's breaking budgets in these cities. And what's the downside of all that? I mean, he's right.
A 250,000 people. What's the downside unless sex trafficking of women and children, which is up now 600%? What's the downside unless people on terrorist watch lists coming across the border? A secure border saves lives.
Makes a whole lot of sense to me. All right, so just saying. But yeah, these idiots. So here's another one that spoke out, trying to act like she's, some hero. And I bet you Boston doesn't give a shit either that she's trying to act like she's speaking for Boston. And it's like, bitch, you're out of touch, all right?
Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, November 17th. Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. 3 years after a historic election, the mayor faces a rapidly shifting political landscape with Republicans sweeping into Washington. What happens to a blue city like Boston? It's time to go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Thanksgiving. I know we're getting close to it, but happy Thanksgiving. City in this country.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, for the last decade or so, we have had laws on the books. I was actually serving on the city council at that point when we passed the Trust Act. And I think it's important to get a little bit into what exactly that means, because sometimes people use the term sanctuary city to mean a city that is welcoming of immigrants, which of course we are and have always been. And sometimes that is used to suggest that there might be some immunity where criminal actions are you look the other way at and this and that.
And that's exactly what these blue cities have been doing. What do you think when they do catch and release and no cash bails and all these things, right? You're robbing a store. Oh, but that's less than 950. All right, you could go, right? And the list goes on and on. I mean, it takes like a heinous act before the blue cities do anything. But other than that, you got these soft DAs that will just let them go. Unless it's very heinous, it's very headlined, then it's like, okay, maybe we got to do something about it now, and then that's when they'll act on it. But a lot of times it's just, no cash bail, let them go. They got to do something worse than what they've already done, which is they've already broken the crime anyways. So, yes, they are protecting and harboring these illegals, and she's trying to mix, immigration with illegal immigration and try to put the two together when there's two separate classifications of people.
So in terms of Boston's policy, there's a prohibition on resources and personnel going to enforce civil immigration detainers, meaning Boston Police and other departments cannot cooperate with ICE when it comes to detaining on civil warrants. There's still room for cooperation when it comes to the issues that matter to all of our residents: human trafficking, drug trafficking, cyber crimes. And so just want to assure everyone that when this passed and in the decades since, it has always been about safety. In fact, the ordinance passed with the full support of not only our local leaders, but law enforcement.
But the times of that, when it passed back then, was a different sort of situation in dealing with immigration versus the floods and hordes of illegals that have come across the border in the last, 3-4 years. There's a difference.
Enforcement at every level, because we want immigrants to know that it is safe for everyone to be able to feel comfortable reaching out for emergency services, to report a crime, to ask for help. And
again, you're mixing immigrants, legal and illegal. That's the thing about it. Like she's not getting it.
Generally, to be part of our community.
She's trying to lump them together.
Is it fair to say Boston has struggled with the migrant crisis, or is that not fair?
No, I mean, resources are stretched. We are already in a housing crisis, and we know that our shelter system, for example, which the city runs the individual adult shelters, the state runs the family shelters. At the individual level, we have been at winter levels of overcapacity already during the summer, and much of that is because of newly arrived residents.
Already during the summer. Yeah.
One of your predecessors, Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, former Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, went so far as to open up City Hall to undocumented immigrants. What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and cities, no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact. And then we are providing the spaces to reach out directly to our residents, because the last thing we want is for people who are part of our economy, part of our school system, part of our community.
Get out of here. This bitch, man. Like, the thing about it is that after saying this a few days ago, she backtracks recently, like, where, here it is right here. Let's see, this one explains it.
Okay, so of course, our local elected officials are giving issues with the new Trump administration that is coming in regards to immigration. They are effectively clashing, as said in this article from Boston 10 News. Thank you for sending me this article. I am going to go over this for you today. It says, President-elect Donald Trump has promised mass deportations.
Here with reaction, the man that President Trump appointed to fix the border, Tom Homan, along with someone who, frankly, has played a very big role in bringing attention to this security disaster, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And they're going to be together all day tomorrow. Tom, you heard this mayor out there in Colorado. I want to get your reaction to it. And I want you to be clear about who has jurisdiction, the federal government or state and local governments. And if you're a sanctuary state or city, are you breaking the law?
You're absolutely breaking law. All you have to do is look at Arizona versus U.S. You'll see these breaking law. But look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. Because there's a statute, it's Title 8 United States Code 1324 III, and what it says is, it's a felony if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities. It's also a felony to impede a federal law enforcement officer.
Yeah, forget all that city bullshit. Oh, you know, we've developed these city policies and we have to abide. Get out of here. All right, federal authority will overstep that easily, because that supersedes any sort of city or state authority. So I'm with them on that. If you're not willing to assist, step aside, and if you're resisting, then you'll be thrown in jail. Hey, I'm all with that.
So if we don't want to help, that's fine. He can get the hell out of the way. But we're going to go do the job. President Trump has a mandate for American people. We got to secure this country. We got to save American lives. And I find it shocking that any mayor of a city would say, President Trump's been clear. We want to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor would say they don't want public safety threats removed from their neighborhoods. I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on in Denver, but we're going to go and we're going to fix it. If he don't want to fix it, if he don't want to protect his communities, President Trump and ICE will.
So you will be going into Colorado, Illinois, New York, California, and you are going to uphold the law of the land. That's your commitment. It doesn't matter what these elected politicians threaten or say that they're going to do.
We're going to enforce the law, period. And they're not going to stop us.
You know, Governor Abbott, I watched you with great frustration.
And it's interesting because
do everything imaginable in your power.
Come on. And Texas has been doing this whole time was enforcing American law, like USA, and even Biden was trying to overstep that on him, which is crazy.
Up with idea after idea after idea, because you were bearing the brunt of this from the very beginning, and you tried to put up barriers in the beginning, and then you tried to work the courts in the beginning. Then you started flying people out of your state to the sanctuary cities and states, and then all of a sudden, people like Mayor Eric Adams, to his credit, he finally got there, realized maybe this is not such a good idea, wide open borders, because we can't control what's going on here. How frustrating has that been for you?
Democrats are a bunch of idiots. Yeah, so you see all that there, right? So, these people, all I got to say is that recent statements made by, say, like Johnston.
Well, listen, it's very frustrating when we have a country and a president and an administration that are fighting back against the law, inviting all this illegal immigration into our country, bringing those people in who are committing those rapes, those murders, and crushing families across the entire country. So I'm thankful that we finally have a president, President Trump, who's going to enforce the laws of the United States of America. I'm thankful that we have Tom Homan as the incoming border czar, who's going to help execute those laws and enforce those laws and make sure that we get back to restoring order. But also, I'm thankful, especially this time of the year, what Tom's going to help me out with tomorrow. I'm thankful for the National Guard troops who've been serving on our border for the past 4 years under the Biden administration, erecting the barriers, repelling and denying entry to people trying to enter the country illegally. Those are men and women who deserve the respect of the entire United States of America. And we're going to go feed them Thanksgiving dinner, Thanksgiving lunch, and show them the gratitude that they deserve.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
So you see this right here, right? She vows to defy deportation plan, and the recent statements made by her backs off of that, which is pretty funny as hell. Then you have this numbnut here stepping in and saying he vows, this is what, New Jersey mayor? Get the fuck out of here, man. Let's see what he has to say. I bet you when a push comes to shove, he's going to step aside.
We start with a battle at the border. President-elect Trump's incoming administration is facing its first policy clash over a controversial plan to curb illegal immigration through mass deportations. Leaders of sanctuary cities and blue states are gearing up to fight. Los Angeles passing an ordinance. Denver and Chicago mayors now speaking out. In a moment, I will speak with one Democratic mayor joining the resistance. But first, the Washington Post reporting Trump's administration is eyeing a, quote, funding showdown. Advisors reportedly plotting to, quote, unilaterally strip federal resources from Chicago and other Democratic-run cities if they refuse to participate in deportations, including withholding federal funds. Chicago's mayor is clapping back, telling the Washington Post, quote, there will not be any cooperation with ICE deportations, saying the city will challenge any threats to its funding. Trump's appointment.
Good, because they're underwater anyways. They need the money. So, yeah, keep fighting your way, because you're going to lose. Yeah, see, because the Boston mayor as well, the Chicago mayor, Johnson, is an idiot and trying to tax everybody an additional $300 million and gets rejected. And then he's trying to go halfway with $150 million and gets rejected because he's full of shit, out of gas, underwater. So, yeah, keep fighting away like an idiot and see what happens, all right? I'm with that, too. If you guys don't want to cooperate, all right, fine. You know what? They're going to make this very, very easily handled by, you know what? We're not going to be funded federally then, all right? And see how you can handle all that. I'm sure you could find a way. You could scratch through, your resources within your state and find something that you're paying that you'll probably need to not pay anymore, and then you'll just divert it back to illegals because that's really what you want to do and all that. So, yeah.
Appointed border czar is already making blatant threats to local officials. Visiting the border this week alongside Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Good.
Let me be clear. There is going to be a mass deportation. We're not waiting until January. We're already talking. We're already planning. We're going to put a plan in place and secure this nation at the highest level it's ever seen.
It's what's needed.
It's a felony to knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from immigration authorities.
Exactly.
Don't test us.
They are already working. NBC News reporting local law enforcement agencies are preparing to ramp up a controversial program allowing them to partner with ICE to bolster manpower amid Trump's deportation efforts. Trump was clear in his campaign, and now he's making it priority one. Here with me to discuss is Mark Thompson, radio host, Reverend, and civil rights activist, and Lee Gallant, attorney and deputy director of the Immigrants' Rights Project at the ACLU. Reverend, I will start with you. I know this is not everybody's belief system, but from a moral perspective, Many of the places that are sanctuary cities in the United States are looking after people who are distressed, who are in danger, who have been victims of policies that sometimes have been.
Well, they could have crossed in legally if they were seeking sanctuary. They could have done it legally. Even if you're trying to seek sanctuary status because of a situation that you came from, seeking asylum and all that. But when you have floods of people coming in, right? No, they're not being vouched. They're not being looked into, and they're just coming in claiming it, even though they're from countries that are of no issue, but they're just coming in. No, that's a big problem. And so, yeah, round them all up and take them all back. As simple as that. Start from square one. If you want to come back again, do it the proper way.
Been supported by previous American administrations. So just from a moral standpoint, what does it say about this incoming administration that they're trying to kick out the least of these during the season where we're supposed to be looking after those who can't take care of themselves? Baby.
Well, first of all, let me commend you, Dr. Johnson, for choosing this topic in this season, and particularly on Thanksgiving Eve. When Thanksgiving, there would be no Thanksgiving. If it were
all these fools, all right, all these fools are talk, but they don't back up what they say, because I bet you anything, you put it right there in front of them, square one, they wouldn't support it.
We're not for immigration. It was the early colonists who immigrated here and took over the land, and that is why we celebrate Thanksgiving, obviously, because of some peace that was made to
get out of here.
I think there are going to be enormous court battles if they try to cut funding. Those occurred during the first Trump administration. I think they're going to be heightened now, and I think you are going to see blue states pushing back to say, look, you can't cut our funding for these reasons. How those play out, we'll have to see, but I think those are going to be enormous legal battles.
They could battle it in court, that's fine, but if they are breaking laws and supporting illegals and resisting federal authority, why can't they cut funding? I mean, to me, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too, and that's what these advocates are all about. Is we want our cake and we want to eat it too, because they're idiots, all right, and all they care about is what looks good to them. But everybody else doesn't see it that way, and then that's why they're idiots.
But to your point, I mean, we're talking about going into cities, not just blue cities, all cities, rounding up people who have been living here for a long time, contributing, don't have criminal convictions, going to result in families being separated, U.S. citizen children being sent to foster care. It's not.
Cry me a river. You know what? Even Holman said, hey, we're not separating families. We'll send them all back together. All right. So there you go. I mean, that solves the problem. And if they are separated, there must be a reasoning to it. Maybe a blatant, like crime that occurred that you would have to have that separation. But if it's just a family and they came in illegally, well, all right, he's going to send them all back together, right? That's why they'll stay united together.
Good for the economy. It's not good as a matter of policy. And we will do everything we can to stop it legally to ensure that we have a balanced immigration system. Look, we're not oblivious to the fact that people want immigration reform.
You please stick around for a moment. I want to turn the spotlight on Democratic mayors nationwide. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, threatening Denver's mayor with jail time after he voiced resistance to deportation plans. Now, Hoboken Mayor Robbie Ballas is gearing up to take on.
I think because all this attention that these blue cities are getting, he's in New Jersey, right? He's trying to throw his name out there for attention too. He just wants some attention.
Homan for a second time. He made headlines in 2018 for tweeting, quote, "Bring it on," a response to similar threats. Bala designating Hoboken a sanctuary.
And you know what? No one cared about what he had to say. That's why he's been ignored this whole time. So now he's trying to throw his name out there again for attention.
City at the time, his first official act. Joining me now is Hoboken Mayor Robbie Bala. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for joining us this evening. I'm going to start with this. I appreciate your bravery. I appreciate your boldness. 2018 is not 2024. You have an incoming administration that says they will literally use or attempt to use the military to forcefully deport people. As a mayor, what would you be able to do if the Trump administration says we're going to send armed troops into Hoboken and pull people out of sanctuary cities, pull people out of buildings based on whatever list that we have?
Nothing. Step aside. It's funny how they try to compare it to like internment camps, and they're trying to compare it to all these situations that happened in the past.
Well, thankfully,
like
we
that.
have something called the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey that protects our rights. In 2018, the AG Graywall passed an immigration directive that said that in the state of New Jersey, local law enforcement is supposed to be for local law enforcement and will not cooperate with federal authorities in the enforcement of immigration policies. We codified that here in Hoboken through an executive order to make sure that we expend our local tax dollars and our local resources to, or we're ready for it, drumbeat of the Trump administration. We're not afraid of expend our local tax dollars and our local resources to prioritize local issues. So if they come in, we're not afraid of the authoritarianism drumbeat of the Trump administration. We've seen that movie before. We're ready for it. We're really focused on making Hoboken a safe place from a public safety standpoint. We have a deficit in law officers. We have issues with public safety, with homelessness. We're focused on local priorities. We want our local tax dollars to be expended on local priorities, and that's what we'll do here in Hoboken.
Okay, so what does it have to
Mr.
do
Mayor,
with
thank you for pointing that out also, that you have sort of a legal backing for being able to resist this. I keep seeing terrible images from that movie about 15 years ago, The Siege, where they were literally just taking people and putting them in camps in the city.
Get out of here, man. This is complete trash. See, he's trying to say that, we're here to support, but they're not even legal residents. So they can be taken and removed because they are illegal. That's the whole point of it. Yeah, it's fine. You can protect your residents, legal residents, right? So that's the whole thing about it, like word, verbiage, and context, and complete garbage. Enough of all this crap, all right? So, yeah, I just wanted to throw this out there that all these people that are trying to speak for it, all right, some have backed down, like Michelle Wu, Johnston from Denver.
My next question.
They've backed down recent statements saying, we will, we're not trying to do this. We will comply with federal authorities. We're not trying to whatever, because they're afraid to go to jail, all right? And you know what? These blue city mayors and governors that do resist should go to jail for harboring illegals, right? Because it's already a broken law for crossing the border illegally, and then to harbor them, that's another thing for these illegals. I mean, it's a no-win situation. So I think the easiest thing to do is, when you look at it, we're doing these blue cities a favor. All right, when we do these blue cities a favor, because once these illegals are removed, it'll be a blessing on their budgets, right? And then going back to resources that are necessary and essential for those cities and states, and be better well spent on things that are within the boundaries and within the citizens that are legal, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there, how the resistance here is small and will be handled, I think, quite easily. So yeah, they could say bold stuff now and all that crap, but when it comes down to it, even Wu, Johnson of Denver, they're already scared and they've backed down from their stand, right? And all these guys, when it starts to happen, they're gonna fall in line, all right? Because last thing they want to do is be put in jail, all right? And that's just what it is. That's real, all right? So that's my latest here. Happy Black Friday. Stay tuned. Hit the bell icon. And look at that. I've never seen them fight for African Americans like that. I mean, it's true. When you read these comments, right? Like, when you read these comments, all these comments make a lot of sense. Like, why are they defending illegals more than they defend their own people? You know, so it's just funny how that is, right? Yeah, but we'll see what happens, though. Trump should report Hoboken mayor. He looks illegal. I mean, who knows, you know? But yeah, all this crap needs to stop. This leftist, progressive bullshit. It needs to be done. It's over, right? But yeah, so share with me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I think they'll fall in line, all right? And you'll see over time. They're saying it now because, you know, we're still, 50 some days away or whatever. Yeah, but once Trump's in place, Holman starts his operations, then we'll see if these fools fall in line, all right? We'll talk about it again at that point, and you'll see. All right, comment down below, subscribe. I'll see you next one.